Hello and welcome to what promises to be yet another thrilling instalment of action from weeks 8 and 9 of Divisions 5F and 5G of the REL League. I'm your host, Kallisti Maya, the Golden Apple of Discord. So my apologies for not being able to provide you with a recap or a week in review for week 8. Real life came up and bit me in the arse, so I wasn't able to record a video solely for week 8. But on the plus side, you get the pleasure of my company for 2 match weeks all at once. So without any further ado, let's get taking a look at Division 5F and match day 8. So let's move to that. And the first game was the Siberian Hopscotch Mafia facing off against the ReBBL Rage Quit. ReBBL Rage Quit is doing pretty well. Siberian Hopscotch Mafia made a nice impression. They did join a little bit late, but I think they've won a game or two. So for a late arrival Kislev team, they're doing okay. They did, however, fall in this match 1-0 to ReBBL Rage Quit, the crazy bashy Chaos Dwarf team, coached by Arabi. So let's take a quick look at the stats. Let's see how the game went. So we had the 1 touchdown. I think the touchdown was for Disconnect Damek, who got the MVP as well. This is Arabi's wonderful agility up Hobgoblin. I'm sure he's going to be wanting to get him SPP as soon as he can, just so that he can start sort of getting some protection on this guy. Maybe a bit of block would be nice. As a double, maybe go for dodge, make him a ball carrier, but a protected ball carrier with some defensive skills. They did have ReBBL Rage Quit did have the 1 expulsion. The armor breaks seems quite low to me. It's 12 versus 7. The ReBBL Rage Quit built like tanks, well the blockers and the centaurs are. The Kislev team really aren't. I think they're a mix of predominantly AV7 and a little bit of AV8, I believe. Or no, maybe they're all like AV8. So I would imagine that the ReBBL Rage Quit were hoping for more. Let's take a quick look at the actual stats. So ReBBL Rage Quit had a 50% possession versus 25 for the Siberian Hopscotch Mafia. The Siberian Hopscotch Mafia did have the 1 pass, and they did manage to inflict 1 KO and 1 injury versus 5 KOs and 1 injury for the ReBBL Rage Quit. That's a tale of the tape right there. So you had 42 blocks versus 28, but only 14, I think it was said on the other screen, 14 of them were armor breaks. So I think Siberian Hopscotch Mafia got a little bit lucky with the armor breaks against them. Moving on, we have the Harlem Globetrotters versus Happy Happy Go Go. So this is the Dark Elf team that was remade, coached by Not So Clever, versus the Goblin team, Happy Happy Go Go. Now, for those of you in Division 5F, and for those of you watching this video, in fact, Happy Happy Go Go are one of the stunty teams that is a front runner for the Stunty Cup, the Stunty place in the playoffs, which is the best performing coach across all of ReBBL, I believe. And Happy Happy Go Go are in like 2nd or 3rd spot right now. So super happy with that. They are in a running within ReBBL, but also within Division 5F, because another one of the front runners, Mr. Christie with Flinging Fun, is another stunty coach across ReBBL that is doing particularly well and could potentially take that playoff spot. So anyway, the Harlem Globetrotters fell 1-0 to the Happy Happy Go Go, the Goblin team. The Harlem Globetrotters have just been having a terrible season. This might have even been an admin game. With that 1-0 scoreline. No, it wasn't. So they actually had to go out and work for the win. So we have the 1 touchdown. We have the 12 armor breaks versus 9 armor breaks. Just because the Harlem Globetrotters are so underdeveloped, they were probably the Goblins were probably dodging and avoiding the blows quite a lot, because that does seem quite low for a sort of reverse statistic, I suppose, for the Dark Elves versus the Goblins. Let's take a look at the stats. So the Harlem Globetrotters had 0 ball possession. How is that even possible? Did they just their drive? They got a blitz. Happy Go got a blitz and managed to catch the ball. I know that ball possession is gauged by turns, where you end the turn with the ball in your hands. So I'm a bit surprised that they had zero turns where the ball was in their hands. And then we have 30 blocks versus 27. So actually, the Happy Go had more armor breaks, but actually threw less blocks, which is an impressive statistic. There were 2 injuries inflicted against the Goblins, versus none for the Goblins, and then we had 4 and 4 for the KOs. Quick look at the SPP. So Laverne, I seem to remember, is one of the trolls. And Anna is the... What's Anna? Is she tackle or a strip ball piece? Something like that. So it looks like Anna got the touchdown, Laverne got the MVP. On the other side we have the 2 injuries and we have the MVP. So that's a good win for Happy Go. Let's take another look at Week 8. We had the Oklahoma Sooners versus Murderers Row. Murderers Row is the top of the division. They are the team to beat, and yet they're not getting beat. Oklahoma Sooners are a team that's performing well, but they just obviously went up to the task of recording that first defeat for Murderers Row. They won that one 2-0, Murderers Row. So that's an impressive win. Let's take a quick look at the stats. So we had 44% ball possession versus 55. So it looks like Murderers Row did a little bit more with less. We have 1 KO apiece, 2 injuries apiece, and 1 kill for Murderers Row. So that's definitely a bit of a stab. Not only did the Oklahoma Sooners lose 2-0, but they also got a kill inflicted on them. Then we had Thrashcan versus Sylvania Slayers. Was this an admin game? Yes, it was. Thrashcan have dipped out of the competition. Interesting that they're called Thrashcan, but the stadium's called Skaven. Interesting. So anyway, this was like an admin game because Thrashcan aren't actually part of the competition anymore. So we got the 2 touchdowns, we got the 2 MVPs, SPP wise. There's some nice SPP for the Vampire team here. So 2 touchdowns, 2 MVPs. I'm sure that some of that at least went to where it was needed most. Then we have Raskin Bobbins, the other Nurgle team, and Raskin Bobbins is for a Nurgle team is doing particularly well. I think they're in like 3rd or 4th place right now, which for a Nurgle team first season is amazing. So Shira, the coach of Raskin Bobbins, is doing particularly well with this team, and it was a 2-1 win over Gamba's Gals. So that was Gamba, the coach for the Amazon Gamba's Gals team. Let's take a look at the stats. So we had the 2 touchdowns versus the 1. We had 11 versus 7. We had 1 expulsion. So it looks like Shira likes to foul just a bit. And then a closer look at the stats. Yeah, Raskin Bobbins just got hold of the ball and said, I'm keeping hold of this and you're not going to do a damn thing about it. And it looks like on their drive, Gamba's Gals probably just scored really quickly and then made the mistake of letting themselves succumb to the 2-1 grind. Gamba's Gals did have the 2 passes, but the tail of the tape here is definitely the blocks succeeded. Look at that, 61 blocks succeeded versus 25. We have 3 KOs from 4 KOs for Raskin Bobbins, and then Raskin Bobbins had 2 injuries. Yeah, it looks like they were just outmatched in this game. Quick look at the SVP, and looks like the 1 touchdown also got the MVP, so that's nice. A nice bump for whichever piece that was. I think it was a catcher, so that's good. And then for Raskin Bobbins, we have Pistachio with just being a bit of a hog has got 6 SPP, and then we've got French Vanilla and Fudge Brownie. So Pistachio must be the ball carrier. It must be 2 touchdowns on Pistachio, and then French Vanilla and Fudge Brownie got injuries apiece, and then Coffee got the MVP. Nice. Good result for Raskin Bobbins. Then we had Once Bitten versus the Kevlin Krakens. That was a 0-0 draw. Let's take a quick look. So it looks like 11 armor breaks versus 16, 1 interception, 1 expulsion, 1 death for the Vampires. So looks like a bit of a push me, pull you slugfest in the middle of the pitch, and nobody sort of thought about scoring. And then we have Flinging Fun winning 1-0 over the Lisbon Timbers. Now this is a good result. Flinging Fun, Halfling team, as I said, is in contention for the stunty place in the playoffs. And they won over the Lisman team, which is pretty impressive. It's hard enough being a stunty coach, then running up against what is arguably a very tough team for stunties. The only thing the Lizards needed was the tackle on some of their pieces, and I think they would have eaten the halflings for breakfast. But no, they won. They managed to score the win, 1-0. Take a quick look. Wow, and Flinging Fun also outpaced them in armor breaks. 13 armor breaks versus 8 armor breaks. The 1 touchdown. 37 versus 12 ball possession. We have 33 blocks for the Halflings, 31 for the Lizards. Looks like the Lizards aren't being aggressive enough, or maybe they were just being laid out by the treeman. We have 6 KOs inflicted versus 5. We had 5 injuries inflicted versus 1. Maybe the Flings just really targeted those skinks and did a number on them. That would be my guess. And then I think that completes it for week 8. Yes, it does. So now moving on to week 9, we had the Siberian Hopscotch Mafia losing 2-0 to the Gamba's Gals, the Amazon team. And Gamba's Gals outpaced them in armor breaks, and probably just outpaced them in general. Let's take a quick look. Yeah, 81% ball possession for the Amazon team. 45 blocks versus 34. Again, the Siberian Hopscotch Mafia have that 1 successful pass. But then we have 2 KOs versus none for the Siberian Hopscotch Mafia, and then we have 2 injuries versus 1 for the for those teams. Then we have the Sylvania Slayers falling in a big way to the Kevland Krakens, 3-0. So it looks like the Kevland Krakens just went to town. 3 touchdowns, 11 armor breaks versus 12 armor breaks. So the Vampire team gave as good as they got, but they just weren't able to string it all together and get the win or get any touchdowns. 62% possession versus 31. But 1 successful pass for the Sylvania Slayers. 25 blocks succeeded for the Sylvania Slayers versus 59. Jeez. For the Kevland Krakens, 4 and 3 for the KOs, 1 and 1 for the injuries, and then the Krakens were able to inflict a kill. So they must be happy about that. Then we had Murderers Row continuing their run at the top of the table, beating Lizard Matimbers 2-0. And 2 deaths. Was that for Murderers Row? Let's take a quick look. Yeah, the Lizards were able to kill 2 of the Murderers Row team, so they may have won the match. Lizard Matimbers had 0 ball possession. What is going on with this team? They had a wonderful start, and then they just seem to have been hung out to dry these last few games. 20 blocks succeeded versus 45. We had 4 KOs, 2 injuries inflicted for the Murderers Row, 1 KO and 1 injury inflicted, and 2 kills for Lizard Matimbers. So they were killing. They weren't doing many blocks, but when they did, it was effective. But they were doing absolutely nothing to string plays together and score. Or maybe they were trying and they just got bitten by the skink curse. I often find when I'm playing Lizards, although skinks have agility 3, they don't seem to act like it. I've seen Kemri pick up the ball every damn time during a match, and whilst my Lizards are fumbling the ball, trying to pick it up, and then they end up getting sort of mown down by an advancing opposition team, and they haven't picked up the ball once. That might have been the case in this match. Then we had Happy Go Go winning 1-0 over Flinging Fun. That's a big match for these stunty teams. As I said, both in contention for the stunty place in the playoffs, and both were battling out for supremacy. And Happy Go Go got the win and a leg up on their divisional rivals, and stepping much closer to taking home the spot in the playoffs. So let's take a quick look. 4 armor breaks versus Flinging Fun's 13. So Flinging Fun really had Happy Go Go's mark, but for the bash game for the blocks, but they just couldn't string it together to get that touchdown and at least create a draw. Unfortunately, Flinging Fun MVP went to Deep Root Strong Branch, and then Mimsy on the Happy Go Go got the MVP. Happy Go Go had 56% ball possession, very low number of blocks succeeded, but from those low number of blocks they were able to inflict 2 KOs and 1 injury, whilst Flinging Fun definitely had the better end of the deal in the blocks game. 6 KOs, 4 injuries, so they really sort of went down swinging, but they did go down. Rebel Rage Quits fell 2-1 to Once Bitten, the Vampire team, which is a bit of a surprising result. I I think ReBBL Rage Quit were or are way up there. So they got a little bit outplayed, a little bit schooled on by Once Bitten. So we have the 2 touchdowns for Once Bitten, 1 for ReBBL Rage Quit. 21 arm breaks for ReBBL Rage Quit versus 9 for Once Bitten. I think maybe Arabi just got a little bit too into the bash game and sort of forgot about the ball for a second. Might have been trying to go for the pitch clear and really sort of severely devastating the other team so he could just stroll in and score, but didn't quite work out that way for him. 50% balls possession versus 56. I don't know, maybe my math's off here, but that looks like more than 100% ball possession between the 2 teams, so I don't know how that happened. 1 pass each, 1 successful pass each, 42 blocks a piece, but the ReBBL Rage Quit just have the goods where they need it for the blocking game. Managed to get out of that 6 KOs and 2 injuries versus 1 KO and none for Once Bitten. But they did lose. Once Bitten still managed to score the win. Harlem Globetrotters versus Raskin Bobbins. That was a 1-0 win for Raskin Bobbins. It looks like that was a... Yeah, it was a concede. So Raskin Bobbins got the concede. They got the 2 MVPs. They got the 2 touchdowns, SVP. Well, at least they didn't have to break out in a sweat to win that game. And then, sorry, we've got to move back to day 9. Then we had, finishing out day 9 or week 9 of Division 5F, we had Oklahoma Sooners in a 1-0 win over Thrashcan. So this is the Nurgle team that we know definitely has left the competition. So that was 2 MVP, 2 touchdown game as well. And Landrace Jones, arguably Oklahoma Sooners' biggest name, has grabbed one of those MVPs. The other one went to a Black Hawk. I can't read his name, the type's too small, but it looks like it says Roy Killia. Let's have a look at the SPP. That's not what it said on the thing. Weird. Landrace Jones, Roy whatever his name is, and then on this screen it says Billy Simples and Mike Stupin, Leroy Cleveland and more. Okay, so completely different name players on the screen, the results screen versus the SPP screen, and we'll find out which was correct. But that was a good win for the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, as you've been seeing, every time I go back to this schedule screen, a lot of the match day 10 games have been played. So what we were going to do is next episode we're going to just go and look at all of these results, and I'm not going to give you predictions right now because most of the games have been played, but the results for match day 10 are going to be coming up next week's episode. So let's take a quick look at the leaderboard. And surprise, surprise, we have Murderers Row in the top spot. I don't think they're going to be caught. Can they be caught by the Kevlin Krakens? Yeah, there's 4 games left. 3 games left. Oh, yeah, they can just be caught, but then Murderers Row would have to lose every game, and the Kevlin Krakens would have to win every game. So I don't think they're going to be caught, but it is technically possible for a draw, and then we go down to TD differential. But I would say barring that miracle I just explained, the Dock M is going to be taking a playoff placement into the playoffs, and going to be the division champ. Then we have the Kevlin Krakens with a record of 6-1-3. Very solid showing. Just to let you guys know, last season was my first season with in the REL, and I was in Division 7, and we had myself and Pig Sofa, who's now in Division 2. We were sort of all season long, we were sort of challenging for the top spot, but there was one team, other team that was just solid, much like Murderers Row, all the way through the season. Were just winning. I mean, they lost or drew a game, but pretty much they won every other game. So I know what it's like to be doing really well, like the Kevlin Krakens are doing, and still not be snagging top spot. Is a valiant effort. You're doing really well. Just to let you know that just you haven't been able to string as many wins as Murderers Row, but that doesn't mean that you haven't been doing really, really well for the season. Then we have Rebel Rage Quit, coached by Arabi, with a 5-3-2 record. Then we have Gamba's Gals, coached by Gamba, with a 6-0-4 record. So Gamba's been doing well. He's been winning a lot, winning more than he's been losing, and no draws. So it looked like he sort of is one of those coaches that goes for the win and doesn't settle for the draw. That's my kind of coach. I'm like that too. So, yeah, he's doing well. It's paying dividends for him. He's in 4th spot. But he is sharing the same number of points as Raskin Bobbins. Shira is the coach, and with a 5-3-2 record, that's actually the same number of points. The Oklahoma Sooners are sort of rounding out the middle of the range of the pack, coming in with the Oklahoma Sooners and J-Town Oki with a 5-1-4 record. Then we have Once Bitten, the Vampire team, coached by Bud Tugley, with a 3-5-1 record. Then we have the Sylvania Slayers, coached by Squid 5, in 8th place, with a 4-1-5 record. And surprisingly, and really, really good, Happy Go Go, coached by Taco Truck, the Stunty team, has a 4-1-5 record. I am actually going to look and just see if Happy Go Go is in the top of the Stunty race. Then closely followed by Mr. Christie. It's only 1 point difference with the 3-3-4 record is the Flinging Fun. Then we have late entry, still doing good, Lizard Timbers, coached by Dwigs, with a 3-1-6 record. Now Dwigs inherited a poor record, so and it came in sort of midway through the season. I would say 4, maybe 5 games in. So he's doing really well, considering he inherited the AI team's record, which is pretty much all losses. Then we have Thrash Can, who actually is now no longer part of the competition. Then we have the Siberian Hopscotch Mafia with a 2-0-7 record. At this point, you're just going to be building the team. I actually would say everybody... I would say the Oklahoma Sooners down. Your season is done in terms of going through to the playoffs. But because I think there's 2 spots that go through to the playoffs. If it's just the one, then everybody's done apart from Murderers Row. If there's 2 spots, then it is possible for Raskin Bobbins through to up to Kevlin Krakens to be taking that 2nd spot. And then we have the Harlem Globetrotters, who maybe is no longer part of the competition. With the Harlem Globetrotters, coached by Not So Clever, with a 0-1-8 record. He might be sort of sitting this season out and rolling into next season, re-rolling. I think he's just had a very tough break of it. He might want to consider also, not so clever, you might want to consider joining our sister league, the ReBBL, the Rookie League, just to sort of develop some of those skills. I know you had that changeover. You had to re-roll your team, but I just think that maybe it might be worth you just taking a step back, going to our sister league. You'll be playing with other coaches of a similar skill level and able to really strengthen your game and come back in a season or two's time and rule. I've seen many ReBBL coaches come into ReBBL after a season or two with ReBBL and so strong. So definitely that might be a good suggestion for you. Okay, so that covers it for Division 5F. I think we should go into Division 5G now. So for Division 5G, we have, starting on match day 8, we had the Holy Grails versus the Austin Knights. This is Bretonian versus Humans. And that was a 2-1 win for the Holy Grails. The Holy Grails is a little bit of a newer team. They joined midway through the season, so that's a great result for them. Scooby and the gang walloped Cheetahs and Such. Cheetahs and Such is another stunty and a goblin team. Scooby and the gang is the necro team, and yeah, absolutely mass slaughtered. Actually, let's take a look at the match results and the stats. So Holy Grails Austin Knights, we had the 2-1 win. We had 6 versus 13 armor breaks. So the Austin Knights were out bashing the Bretonian team, but they weren't able to string as much together and probably succumb to the 2-1 grind. 50% ball possession versus 43. Looks like it was quite an even match, but I think that the Holy Grails just played that 2-1 grind and managed to just sort of play it well and get the win. The Holy Grails were also able to inflict a kill, whereas the Austin Knights had 5 injuries. That's a lot. That's good. But they didn't get the win, so good on the Holy Grails. Then we had the Cheetahs and Such and Scooby and the gang with a goblin arse whooping. Yeah, I'm not sure if I need to say much more. It was an absolute slaughter for the goblin team. They had the 1 death. They had 2 expulsions. It looks like they probably had the secret weapons and just didn't fire. Because this kill was for Scooby and the gang. They also had 4 injuries, 6 KOs inflicted, 81% ball possession. This was just all Scooby and the gang. It was probably a proper dicing as well. It's hard enough to being a stunty coach without sort of really getting your ass handed to you by the dice as well. Castlevania Creeps, coached by ReBBL versus the Lizards Techers. And the Lizards Techers won that one 2-1. We have 15 armor breaks versus 10 armor breaks. We have 1 expulsion for the Castlevania Creeps. We have the 1 pass for the Castlevania Creeps. Relatively even ball possession. This is take us a little bit less. They did a lot more with less. They won slightly on the blocking percentage. But definitely I would say had the better end of the the blocking game, like the casualties and the injuries and such. The Lizardtekers had 2 KOs and 2 injuries. The Castlevania Creeps just had the 4 KOs. So probably a lot of the Lizardtekers came back, and much to the dismay of the Castlevania Creeps. Then we have the Farm Animals beating Thunderstrike 2-0. So the 2 touchdowns, that was a real solid win for the Farm Animals. 62% ball possession, 53 blocks succeeded versus 40, 1 injury versus none. They did do slightly less. They did lose out on the KO game, but apart from that, pretty much across the board, they were outperforming their opponent. Mountain Tetons. Oh no, that's this week, week 10. The Big Bad Baby Eaters versus These Violent Delights ended up being a 1-1 draw. It looks like it was a 1-1 draw because they didn't play. Looks like nobody scheduled, nobody did anything, and it just ended up being a 1-1 draw. Yeah, nothing happened. Okay. We Chillin', a Dark Elf team that is doing amazingly well. Very, very strong team in this division. I think challenging for the top spot, if not in the top spot. Won 2-0 over the Dolgan Lions, the Chaos team. So that was a very solid win for We Chillin'. Let's have a look at the stats. 75% ball possession, that says a lot. 1 successful pass, they did more blocks, they did better on the Kaz game with 1 KO and 2 injuries versus the Dolgan Lions just 1 KO. It looks like they were outperformed, the Dolgan Lions were outperformed by We Chillin'. Now we have BioWare for Life versus Mount Tetons. And this was a 1-0 win for BioWare for Life. Despite it being a 1-0 win, BioWare for Life had significantly less ball possession. So it looks like they got the ball for 1 drive, did a 2-turn touchdown, or maybe 3 or 4-turn touchdown. And the rest of the game, Mount Tetons had the ball. But they didn't do as much with it. BioWare for Life definitely seemed to have a goal, went out and got the goal, and then just defended like crazy. So we have 47 blocks for Mountain Tetons versus 30 blocks for BioWare for Life. BioWare for Life got 3 KOs, so did Mountain Tetons. Mountain Tetons got 1 injury, but they didn't get the win. That was the last one of match day 8. So match day 9, we had Austin Knights versus Cheeses and Such. Cheeses and Such got the win. So this is a good result for the Goblin team. 1 touchdown, 1 pass, 39 breaks, 1 expulsion. Let's have a quick look at the stats. 37% ball possession. So Cheeses and Such, again, this is a trend, but they didn't have the ball for as long, but they did more with it. They even managed to squeeze in a pass there. Although they didn't win on the injury game, but they're Goblins, so maybe that's to be expected. The Holy Grails versus Castlevania Creeps, it ended up being a 1-1 draw. So this Bretonian team is a late addition. They seem to be going toe for toe with a lot of the teams here in the division. So this was a 1-1 draw, so that's a valuable draw for the Holy Grails. Maybe the Castlevania Creeps were hoping for a little bit more, considering they are probably more well developed. Let's take a look at the stats. 31 versus 43, 2 passes versus 1. Way more blocks for Castlevania Creeps, and actually transmuted into more injuries. But they were still held at bay, prevented from winning by the Bretonian team. So that's a really good showing by them. Scooby and the gang continuing their run, 1-2-1 over Thunderstrike. So it looks like Thunderstrike actually managed to get a quick touchdown. They did it in 3 turns, and then the rest of the game was Scooby and the gang had the ball. 73 blocks succeeded. That's insane for the Necro team, for Scooby and the gang, versus 31 blocks succeeded. That only transmuted into 1 KO and 2 injuries. That's usually quite a lot, but when you have 73 blocks succeeded, I'm sure Scooby and the gang, I think the coach for that one was Travis Scrabble. I'm sure he was probably hoping for more casualties and injuries, considering the number of blocks he threw. This Attackers won 1-0 over the Big Bad Baby Eaters. Even ball possession. The Big Bad Baby Eaters got a little bit better on the blocks and the injuries. Well, maybe they got 2 KOs for the Big Bad Baby Eaters versus 1 injury for the Lizard Attackers. The Farm Animals won again. So 1-0 win over the Dolgan Lions. Let's have a look. So they had the ball possession. They had the ball for longer. They threw more blocks. They got more casualties. Yeah, they had the upper hand. I wouldn't say it was a whitewash. I wouldn't say it was entirely one-sided. But they did have the upper hand for this match from just looking at the stats. These Violent Delights versus BioWare for Life, and that resulted in a 2-1 win for BioWare for Life. And let's have a look at the stats. So they had 56 ball possession versus 31. We had way more blocks thrown for these Violent Delights, the Amazon team, and it transmuted into more action in the injury box. So we had 3 KOs and 5 injuries inflicted for the Amazon team. And then for the Vampire team, we had 3 KOs, 2 injuries and 1 kill. So they did do a lot with the blocks they threw. Because it's an Amazon team, it's all AV7. I know that BioWare for Life is a great team. So I think that's just a testament to their stick-to-itness and performing well with this Vampire team. And then the last game was We Chillin', the terrifying Dark Elf team, winning 1-0 over Mount the Tetons. And let's have a look at the statistics. So We Chillin', they seem to have had the ball, they got their touchdown, and then being Dark Elves with a very strong defense, they just managed to hold Mount the Tetons at bay. They didn't win out on the blocking war, and definitely didn't win out on the injury box, the KOs and the injuries. But they did win the game, and they managed to hold the Orc team at bay. So let's take a quick look at the leaderboard. So topping the table, let's just have a quick look. I know I'm going to be covering this next week, but I just want to see how many games have yet to be played and who they are. So Scooby and the gang does have, they have a game that hasn't been validated, so maybe that will be validated. Maybe that's showing on the leaderboard right now. But we have the Holy Grails versus the Big Bad Baby Eaters still to play, and we have the Castlevania Creeps versus the Austin Knights. So looking at the leaderboards, Scooby and the Gang, they do have that game, but it hasn't been validated. So they are going to be on 802, so they're going to be drawing level with the Lizard's Techers. And in fact, We Chillin, Lizard's Techers, and Scooby and the Gang are all on exactly the same number of points. So it all comes down to touchdown differential. Looking ahead to the playoffs, operating on the assumption that there are 2 playoff spots, I believe there are. It's basically down to these teams. The next team is BioWare for Life with 18-20 points, and then the Lizard's Techers have 21, and so do the Scooby and the Gang and We Chillin'. So actually BioWare for Life is in with a shot as well as Mount the Tetons, but in all likelihood it's going to be a 3-way scrap for that playoff spot between We Chillin', Lizard's Techers and Scooby and the Gang. I could well be wrong. BioWare for Life could go Great Guns, and those 3 other teams, or Mount the Tetons could go Great Guns as well. And Scooby and the Gang, Lizard's Techers and We Chillin' are all sort of have poor games. And then we have a completely different set of guys going through to the playoffs. But for me, my money, I'm going to put it on these 3 teams making it through. It's very, very close. Much closer than Division 5F. Murderers Row is just way out in front. Whereas this one, we have basically 5 teams all battling it out for 2 spots. And all within spitting distance of each other. It's going to be exciting. Anyway, so we have the actual stats are We Chillin', Lizard's Techers and Scooby and the Gang are all on 24 points. Yeah, because Scooby and the Gang have a game more to play. I'll be credited for. So 24 points. Then we have 20 points. So they're actually 4 points away. BioWare for Life and Mount the Tetons, 4 and 5 points. So BioWare for Life have 6-2-2. Mount the Tetons have 6-1-3. These Violent Delights, the Amazon team, have 6-3-2. The Farm Animals Chaos team, which is doing well for a Chaos team in the first season, is on a respectable 5-2-3. The Big Bear Baby Eaters, another tough team, in my opinion, a tough team to get started, is on 3-3-3. So they still have a game to play. They might win and then they'll move up the leaderboard. And we have the Holy Grails, the late edition, on 2-2-5. So they still have a game to play as well. And then we have Cheeses and Such on 1-3-6. So that's a stunty team. So whilst that's not a wonderful record, it's okay for a stunty team. Then we have Thunderstrike on 1-3-6 as well. Then we have the Castlevania Creeps, coached by Vapor Gecko, on 1-2-6. And then we have the Dolgan Lions, the Chaos team, on 1-2-6. And then we have the Austin Knights on 1-8. So I would say that in all likelihood it's going to be between these 3 teams for the playoffs. And I'm saying We Chillin', Lizard's Techers and Scooby and the Gang. I think 2 of these teams are going to be going through to the playoffs. There is an outside shot for Dire Sickfish, BioWare for Life and Mount the Tetons, Brian 506 to claim one of those spots, but I'm thinking it's unlikely. And then I would say from Road Dog down, I would say that it's quite unlikely to claim one of those spots. So for all of those coaches, I would suggest, as you have been all season, just focus on building your teams. Maybe don't take crazy risks. If it's risky, but then there's a good chance of being hurt, or playing it safe and walking away with a draw, especially for the teams way lower down, I would just play it safe. Build the team. Next season you can sort of build on a strong foundation. For those teams that are in playoff contention, it's there. It's there for you to claim. You just need to go out and claim it and beat the other teams that you're battling it out with. I'd be interested to see, and I'm going to take a quick look. If any of those teams play each other. So week 11 we have Scooby and the Gang versus Mount the Titans. We Chillin and Liz's Techers week 11. Wow, that's going to be a big one. That's basically going to put somebody out unless they draw. Week 12 we have no hugely significant games. Week 13 we have So I think that We Chillin actually has the easiest route into the final furlong of this season. So I think he would end up being my pick to take one of those spots. And I've got a feeling that the Scooby and the Gang are going to be the other one. So I think We Chillin and Scooby and the Gang are going to be battling out for those two spots, top spot. And maybe Lizateka's going to be coming in and challenging them for one of those spots as well. Okay, so that's all from this week. It was a combined week 8 and 9, so we couldn't go into as much depth. Next week is going to be week 10. I'm going to be giving you all the action, going to see how the teams are developing, and sort of do some further analysis and further more concrete predictions on who's going through to playoffs. And also next week I'm going to have make it a feature for Division 5F for Happy Go Go and Flinging Fun to have exactly where you're at in the stunty race. Okay, so thanks a lot, and remember, there's scoring and then there's Kallisti scoring.